Yo, what's up? Uh, I didn't plan on continue to play DBD, but the new perks since Project W has been, it's been, what's the word I'm looking for? Kinda a game changer. I think 2 of Rebecca's perks and 1 of Ada's has been something I've been using a lot, and probably in all of my survivors. So I play killer like 10-15% of the time. Could be 22%. But mostly I play survivors. So the first person I would recommend you prestiging would be right here I'm gonna be talking about the free survivors, the ones that are already in the game. So the one you would want to prestige first would be this guy right here. I would prestige him first. He has 2 good perks, but one of them you're going to be using a lot. He has this perk right here, Ace in the Hole, where it lets you keep your add-ons if you bring it into the game, or if you'll open a chest and you'll find add-ons in those items, and as long as you escape with the items with the add-ons, you get to keep them. That if you don't want to waste White Ward. But the one that you're going to be using, the one that you're going to be getting would be, if I can find it, I must have passed it. Yep, I done passed it. Open-handed. Now open-handed is it helps you and your teammates with the aura reading. So basically, if you're using a perk that lets you see things within a 16-meter range, it would now become 32 meters with this perk. So if you pair this perk with let's say with the key. Well, I don't have a lot of stuff for Ace because I don't really use them. But I played this game, I think a year now. I think this month would be the year I started playing DBD. I mean, not the year. What the hell am I saying? I mean, it would be a year this month. Okay, so there's an add-on where it can let you see the killer's aura, and then you can see them like before they get too close. Now, another thing you can do. Oh my God. Okay, so with open-handed, okay, so I don't have the other perk on them. I'm gonna have to go to somebody who I have it for. Okay, so you want to pair open-handed with Kindred. Kindred is also a free perk. With these 2 perks together, you can't go wrong, because it's like a sense of security. When the killers get hooked, it helps you and your teammate, especially if you're the one on hook. Helps the other survivors as well know how far is he going away from the hook, or how close to you is he getting. And this perk is almost a guaranteed escape, because you're going to be ahead of the killer. But if you also, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I would level up Ace first for these two perks right here. But well, this right here is already available to you. But this, you want to level up Ace for this perk, and then once you get this for all your survivors, then you can look for this perk in the Blood Web. Okay, so the next free survivor I would recommend you using this one right here. Okay, so she basically has this one perk that I use a lot. Let me see. But there's another perk that everybody praises. Wait a minute, I think I can do it here. Yeah, here we go. I can do it here. So, I mean, all three of her perks is good, but you won't be using this too much. This perk right here is heavily praised. Now, this perk don't really do it for me because usually on paper, it seems like a great perk, and there's no way the killer's going to be able to catch you after you vault the window, and he has to vault the window too to try to catch up to you. But a lot of time when I use this perk, and I could be vaulting from the killer shack with lights, and about 4 seconds later the killer's right up behind me and going for a hit. So I don't know, I would recommend you using this perk. But this perk right here, I recommend you going for it, because this perk counters a lot of, well, I ain't gonna say a lot, but it counters quite a bit of killer perks. Perks like overcharge, oppression, and there's gonna be times that you're gonna see those perks a lot. And I think Hunter's Lullaby too, but you don't see Lullaby too often. And with this perk right here, like when you mess up a skill check, the killer won't know about it. And then, especially if you're new, this perk is like highly recommended. So I would level up Fang as well. Okay, and I think there's one more. And Neil. I recommend Neil. Okay, so most people like this perk right here. I used to, but if you're gonna use this perk, you're gonna have to set a map where you know where you're gonna be falling from great height. You just can't use this perk and not use a map offering, because there are I think there's like 2 or 3 maps that has no great heights unless you're planning on falling to the basement and running from the killer, which nobody's gonna do. But this perk right here, I think this is a lot better than the Nancy's perk. What's it called? Fixated? It used to be fixated, but it's called something else now. Cause you are moving a lot faster with this perk crouching than you would with Nancy's perk walking, standing up. But this perk right here is very, very good, especially if you're using like a Gen Rush build. This perk has to be used in it. Especially if you're bringing a toolbox. So I recommend those 3 to be leveled up first. Okay, so for your money, the first survivor I recommend you buying is her. I think she's only $5 or $6, and you're getting 3 really great perks. One of them you're not going to be using too much. Clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is good, but you're only going to be using it to find a hatch. So if you're using this perk, you have to go into the game empty-handed, because whatever you bring, you're going to have to leave behind, so you can search, because you can't have anything in your hand while you're searching with clairvoyance. These are the 2 perks you want. So with these 2 perks, you're going to be a big help, because everybody on your team gets to benefit from these 2 right here. Everybody on your team. With Shadow Step is heavily underused and underappreciated. Shadow Step is a must use when you're using Circle of Healing, because there are going to be some killers who run nurses, and while you're healing, they're going to see you healing without Shadow Step. I think that's it. The second recommended purchase would be, I'm going to have to say Project W. I'm going to have to say Project W, because this game is the reason I came back, and my intention when I came back to this game was to play for a little bit like I usually do, but play like a few more extra games. But seeing Ada's perk made me stay, and the perk that made me stay what happens to be Wiretap. So basically Wiretap, like when you get a certain progress on a gen, you could put a trap on it, and it will let you see the killers coming from which direction. So I guess this would be a good substitute for the way Spine Shield used to be. Well, Spine Shield didn't tell you which direction the killer is coming from, but it did alert you. So this perk you definitely want to use, because there's like a build for this perk. Well, not for it, but it goes with another perk, but it's not going to be the main perk for the build. So I would recommend going for this perk here first. The other 2 is okay. I really like low profile, but it's a post what's the word I'm looking for? Post game perk. So like if you're the last person standing and somebody is on hook, this perk is going to already start activating. I think I seen it started activating when I wasn't even the last survivor alive. I think somebody was on hook and it started working. And then we have Rebecca. Now Rebecca has 2 perks that you're gonna want. Hold up. Okay, here we go. Reassurance and hyper focus. Now reassurance lets you keep a survivor on hook before they go on second stage or before they're being sacrificed. So this perk is really good for maps like Midwich, because it's a map with 2 stories, and a lot of times you can like go above the person on hook or below the person on hook and save them from going to the next stage. And then we have hyper focus. Hyper focus, there's a new build going around with hyper focus, and and stakeout. Hyper focus won't be much of a help alone because the way Dead by Daylight made hitting those skill checks is ridiculous. They made it tough as fuck. So you have to hit great skill checks for this to work, and you have to be consistent with it. So there's actually 5 perks you can use with this, but you're only going to be able to use 4 of them. I think the number I was looking for is 6. But so I think this is going to be like 3 different builds with built around hyper focus. Okay, so the last purchase DLC that you're gonna want would be, let me see. I think I said, but I don't think I would get the whole DLC for that character. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else. Alright, so it's going to have to be this one right here. This is the third one I would recommend you getting. Let's see. No, that's not it. I always go to the wrong one first. Okay, so Hattie has this perk right here. Overzealous is pretty strong, especially if you find a hex totem. Now this is the perk you want to have. Now with a hex totem you get a much bigger speed boost when you're doing generators. And if killers bring perks like Undying, Plaything, Pentimento, you're gonna be in match heaven right there, because you're gonna punish their ass for bringing such perks like those when you're using this perk to push gens. So I definitely recommend you getting Hattie. So that's pretty much for the survivor side. But for the killers, I don't really play killers, so this might gonna take me a bit. Okay, so for the free killers, let's see who I would recommend you prestiging first. I would say Nurse, but Nurse is pretty hard. So basically what you're gonna have to do is not use Nurse. So basically you're just gonna play and get your blood points and dump it all on her, because the perk that you want from Nurse would be wait a minute. I was supposed to pick Nurse. Okay, there we go. Okay, well basically all 3 of her perks are good, but this has had a huge hit. But I think it's still usable, but it's not gonna be what it used to be. But Strider is still good because, especially if you're playing with headsets, it makes your survivors' breathing sounds a lot louder. And I think when they're hiding in closet, you can hear them too, if you're paying attention. But this is the perk you want if you're kind of sweaty, because if you pair this with Sloppy Butcher, you're gonna be kind of unstoppable, because you're gonna want them to take time healing, and you want them to take all the time in the world while you go looking for them, because the last thing you want them to do is to heal. So Sloppy Butcher is a free perk, so you basically want to pair this together. Okay, so the second the second killer I would recommend, let's see, I think everybody down here would be pay from Bubba on over. I would say Hag. Hag would be the next killer I would prestige. Now, oh fuck, okay. I keep not clicking on the killers. Alright, so the perk you want from Hag is Devour Hope. Now, Hag is not a tough killer to get used to using. I think I used Hag for like 3 games and I was successful in like 2 of them. So, Hag is pretty slow in chase, but you're gonna have to rely on traps. Now, what Devour Hope does, you would want 5 tokens. Now, this perk is good for killers who could like get quick distance away from the hook. I wouldn't recommend using this perk on someone like Pinhead, Huntress, or you know, anybody who can't dash or whatever away from the hook. Now, you want somebody to get unhooked before you go a certain distance. I think the distance would be well, I'm looking at the yellow version. I think it might stay 24. I don't know. Let me check. I think I have it purple for maybe Nemesis. No, I don't have it purple for Nemesis. No, I don't use Trickster. I don't use Twins. I know I had to. Oh yeah, Unreal. That's who I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, so it's still 24 meters. So you have to get farther from 24 meters away from the hook when somebody get unhooked, or it won't count. So if you can do this 5 times, you would be able to kill all the survivors. But you basically want 3 because when you get 3 points or tokens, it's gonna count as no-ed. And the only way you can keep this going is to protect the totem, and with that, the hag has a trap that she can set by the totem to let her know if somebody's running over there to it. Now there's a counter to that, because if they can see it, all they have to do is just crouch over it. But a lot of people don't know it. Okay, so the third free killer I would probably recommend you leveling up would be Hillbilly. Now with Hillbilly, he has a must-have perk, and that would be Lightborn. Tinkerer is good, but it's not what it used to be, but it's still good. So these would be the 2 perks you want to use. don't sleep on enduring, because enduring has it has its values, and there's a build that you can use with enduring if you pair it with spirit fury, and survivors would definitely be in trouble. But it's a good perk to have, but it's not something you're going to be using every game. But these two, these are definitely something you want, that you're going to be using a lot of. Oh, I got a message. I think the app has an update on my iPad or something, because it won't take me to it. Never mind. Okay, so let's go to the paid killers. The first killer I would pay would be... This is gonna be tough, because it's not coming from a person who plays killer a lot. Okay, I would go with Nemesis. Now, Nemesis has two good perks. I would go with Nemesis first for this perk right here, and this perk. Now, Eruption, now this perk works kind of like Joke, but instead of people going down and the gen explodes, I think you have to kick the gen first, cause only the gens that you kick first gonna have this effect. Now, this perk is, I would say this perk is a lot worse from what's her name? The Crow Lady? The artist. Formerly known as We Don't Know. Her perk, where she put somebody on a scourge hook and the gens explode, I think this perk right here is far worse. In a good way for the killers. Now, with this perk right here, Survivor is not gonna know when to get off the gen if they're doing a gen, because with the other perk, if they know you have it and they know somebody went down and they're going on hook, all they have to do is get off the gen and wait for you to hook them, and then go right back on it. But with this perk, they're not gonna know when somebody's going down unless it's a survivor with friends, and whoever was on that gen when the gen explodes, they won't be able to do anything for a certain amount of time. So these two perks I definitely recommend you trying to get first for your killers. The next killer, I'm gonna have to say Unreal. Okay, so the two perks you want from Unreal, I think you want all three of these perks. This perk is very, very underrated. Everybody know this perk is good, but people still don't use this perk. But this perk is very good. But the two perks they really use from Unreal is these two, Merciless Storm and Call of Brine. Call of Brine is what Pop Goes the Weasel used to be. Well, not really used to be, but I think Pop Goes the Weasel. It takes a huge percentage off of gen when you kick it, but this perk just regresses it without the percentage being taken off. Merciless Storm. Shit. Merciless Storm is good against mediocre players and some that's I won't say advanced, but the ones before the advanced level, because the skill checks is not hard, but like I said, the devs made it where hitting the skill check is difficult because of the delay. There's a delay when you hit the skill check, because you can hit it at one point and it'll move and stop at a different point. So it's going to have to take some practice and some getting used to when you're hitting skill checks. But this one would give you like probably, it's going to be more than 5 skill checks. But I think it's going to be like 5 skill checks when you're doing it with more people. I think the more people on the gen, the less skill checks you see. Okay, so the final killer I would recommend you getting. It's going to have to be Legion. Now Legion have this one perk, and one perk is all Legions need, is Discordance. This perk will pretty much let you know when 2 survivors is on a gen, and that's exactly what you want, because 2 survivors on a gen is bad for you, and you want that to let you know who's doing gens together, because you want them to spread out anyway, because people shouldn't be together when they're going against Legion. So I think that would be it. I would put Bubba on the list, but they nerfed what's this perk called? They nerfed Barbecue. But Barbecue is still good, but it was the blood points that made me want to use Barbecue. So the devs don't want you to use it for blood points anymore. So I mean, it's still good without the blood points, don't get me wrong, but I usually use it to boost my blood points when I'm playing killer, because all I want is like 4 hooks, 1 from each survivor, then I let them live, because I don't really play to kill survivors unless they leave somebody on hook and refuse to get them. Then I go kill everybody. Frank Demise, I think that's like the one perk that everybody frowned upon. So I think I stopped using Frank Demise when people was when I was hitting people and they were dropping their anniversary items, and I kind of feel bad for seeing that shit on the ground. Don't judge me. Okay, so that's about it. So I guess I will be uploading new DBD videos and live stream, but it wasn't my intention. But the game turned out not to be so bad when Project W was released.